Well, welcome to the Monday Money Tip Podcast presented by Fully Funded Life. My name is Joe Sengel, and it's been a while, but I get to say I am joined by Megan Hibbard.
Megan Hibbard.
Yes.
Woo-woo.
And we, listen, y'all, the podcast has been on a pause. It went on vacation, but in reality, it moved because Megan and her family, well, you moved to the other Carolina, from South Carolina to North Carolina. And so how are things in North Carolina today?
They're good. It's a beautiful summer day. It's already like scorching out here.
Excellent.
Yeah, we really love North Carolina. I grew up in the area, so I'm familiar with it. We're in a different town than I grew up in, so it feels new for our family. But yeah, we're really loving it. We're close to family, so I get to see them, which has been really great for us and for the kids.
Yeah.
So yeah,
and
we're loving
we're
it.
getting to see you in your home office instead of us being in a studio. And so I have to call attention to one thing. I see a folded flag up there. So everybody else can see it.
Can't be it.
So tell us what that folded flag is about.
Yeah, so my husband's father was in Afghanistan. He flew, he was a contract pilot in Afghanistan. And so on one of his flights, he had that flag. And so he gave it to Jordan, which is a really great honor because Jordan's actually the middle child.
Oh.
So yeah. Yeah, there's a couple of fun things like that. Jordan's dad still flies, but he flies in the US now, which is great.
Okay.
For family.
Well, that's awesome. So, I always love those type of things. And so thanks for sharing that. So tell everybody, what episode are we on and what are we going to talk about today?
Yeah, so we are on episode 330, if I'm getting that number correct.
330. Yes.
Yep. So I'm looking to our producer to see if he's giving me the thumbs up, but we're going to go with it. Yep, he gave me a thumbs up, so we're good. And today we're talking about, it's a fun topic. When he sent it over to me, I was like, that's interesting. So our topic for today is, are you living paycheck to paycheck, but earning too much to feel like you should be? So basically, are you making more than ever? You're making more money, but you still feel stressed about money.
Yeah.
So why do you feel stressed when you're making more?
Yeah, and there's a shocking stat that we ran across that really is the seed that planted the idea of doing this podcast, because a lot of people are there. According to a LendingClub Paycheck to Paycheck report, over 50% of six-figure wage earners, over half, live paycheck to paycheck. So,
right.
I mean, I remember growing up, the idea of earning six figures was like, yeah, right. Like that would ever happen. But the truth is, many families, at least together, produce six figures, and yet they're living paycheck to paycheck. And so today we're going to kind of talk about what is causing that, what are some signs of it, and some simple next steps to help people. Maybe you could kick us off on why this happens. Yeah. Why is this happening based on some of the research?
Yeah, so you might be in this position and you're like, I genuinely don't know why this is happening. This is me. I'm making money, but I don't know where it's all going. I don't know what's happening. So one thing could be maybe a lifestyle inflation. So you get a raise and that immediately equals you upgrade something. So you're upgrading your car, you're upgrading your home, you're going on more elaborate vacations. You're just spending more money. And even though you're making more, you're not necessarily covering that. And it's just kind of, the money's just going out the door and you're trying to figure out why. But it's because you're upgrading your lifestyle constantly.
Yeah, and sometimes this happens, almost feels out of necessity, right? Like when you're just starting out life. Maybe you went to college, maybe you went straight into the workforce and you're living in an apartment with 3 or 4 buddies and your rent's dirt cheap and you're sharing, all the utility bills are divided by 3 or 4 people. And then you get married. Oh, well, that's not bad. They brought an income with them. Woo. And we have no problem. We just, this little 650 square foot, love grows best in little houses. And then love leads to all these babies running around. And all of a sudden you're like, we need a bigger house. And you got a bigger house. Well, bigger house comes with bigger power bill, bigger insurance, bigger repair costs. Oh, we need a fence. Oh, we need swing set. A pool would be nice. That's lifestyle inflation. So I would love for our listeners to just raise your hand, just admit it. Has lifestyle inflation affected you? Would you acknowledge it? Would you acknowledge it, Megan? Has it hit you? Yeah.
Yeah.
So sometimes it feels like it has to happen. Sometimes it's because we want it. But that's just one reason why. Another reason is
Yeah.
what?
Yeah. So maybe another one is there's no intentional spending plan. So there's no budget. That's what we like to call it, a budget. So making more money doesn't always replace managing your money better. So if you're making more but you're still managing it poorly, we still have the same problem. It doesn't matter how much you're making. I know, Joe, you've done a lot of coaching appointments with people in this situation that are making six figures, some more, and it's still this moment where they're like, I don't know where my money is going. I don't know how I still feel this stress, and I don't know how I still feel broke even though I'm making all this money. And it's because they don't know where their money is going. There's no plan for it. They're not giving every dollar a name. They're not saving, they're not investing, they're not planning the rest. There's no plan for it. And then all of a sudden you get to the end of the month or the end of the year and you're like, wow, I don't think I made any progress this year. I think I just went farther into the hole.
I mean, it's always a bad thing. I recently coached someone. They've been working hard and very effectively, gotten lots of raises for 20 years, and they have more money as a balance on their credit cards than they have in their retirement account. And they literally said, hey, this is actually they said it was from 25 years of, just bad money decisions. They have no intentional spending plan. So that's another reason why that it happens. And it's kind of like I've learned this during COVID. I'm just going to overshare for a minute, Megan. Do you want to overshare?
Okay.
During COVID,
Overshare.
somehow or another, I picked up 10 pounds. I've never had 10 extra pounds. I've been the same weight for 30 years, and I picked up 10 pounds. And I can't get rid of it. I cannot do it.
Yeah.
And I have a brother who long ago, he showed up at Thanksgiving and he had a little index card and he picked up like 3 olives and he wrote down 3 olives and he had a calorie count of it. Well, guess what? He's been fit ever since. And he told me, what are you doing with your diet? And I'm like, why do you have to be so mean? What stop. And he's like,
why are you coming at me like
his
that?
statement was, you can't outrun a bad diet. And I think the same, has anybody tried to outrun a bad diet or done something? I can't outrun a bad diet. So he's saying you need to change your diet. And that's the same thing here, making more. If you do not change your behavior, which is the diet in this, I think it's pretty good comparison. It's pretty good.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. Well, making more does not replace managing better. It's a good statement. Now, there's another reason why.
Yeah, I feel like this can go hand in hand with that. You can't replace bad diet, but you also can't replace, it's hard to outrun bad habits as well. So maybe you have this bad habit of these hidden costs that keep stacking up. So, obviously taxes, we can't, that's just the way it is. But kids' activities, subscriptions, delivery fees, all these things that keep stacking up that you're not necessarily aware of.
The amount of money,
but
I don't have the stat in front of me, but I think it stands out to me that these people that use the conveniences of DoorDash and the delivery services and Uber Eats and all that stuff, they are paying on average around, I think it was somewhere around $475 a month paying for that convenience. And those become hidden costs. They almost feel like they can't get away from them. And of course, the social comparison is the other one we wanted to share. And so I wanted to add that to it here because I think this is, at least in the circle of people I run around, oh my goodness, it's like my social feed feeds up with travel ball, travel cheer, travel this, travel that. Travel robotics is a thing.
Oh yeah.
And I think it boils down for me, Megan, to the simple fact that it's hard for us to say no. It's very difficult to tell ourselves no. For some people, it's virtually impossible to tell their child no. And as a result, they make plenty of money and they get to the end of the month. And as Dave Ramsey says, there's more month at the end of the money.
Yeah. I almost feel like, just a hidden tip in here, if you're in a season where you're trying to get control of your money and, you're really wanting to hunker down and make a change, maybe you need to delete social media or take a break because I feel like that social comparison comes in and you're like, oh, well, I need to do this. It's, it's keeping up with the Joneses, like 10.0, it's so hard to not see it when it's right there on your phone and you're scrolling all the time.
And that's the thing, scrolling, if you didn't have the phone, if you didn't have social, you would have to drive 15,000 miles to see all the things that entice you to spend money that 5 minutes of scrolling on your phone can do. Oh, they're in New Zealand.
It's crazy.
Oh, I want to go there. Oh, they're on a cruise. I want to do that. They're in Alaska on a cruise. I need to do Alaska and a Caribbean cruise. Oh, look at that built-in. Oh, we need to do that.
Yeah.
And they've got their kids enrolled in this, and they're in this private. It just. You're right. That's not a hidden tip. That we have unhidden that tip. That's very good. But there's, we want to cover some signs that people are in this trap. Let's just rattle them off really quickly for people.
Yeah. So maybe you find yourself in one or multiple of these. So maybe you're counting down the days to pay.
Hey, if you're living paycheck to paycheck,
know what day that happens.
Hey, you're counting down the days. Like if you can tell me right now, for our podcast listeners, if you can tell me how many days until payday or when next payday is, that's a problem. Okay?
Yeah.
Because you're dependent upon
maybe you're carrying a balance on your credit card despite your high income.
Absolutely a problem.
Yeah. You have no emergency fund.
That's the definition of paycheck to paycheck living. No emergency fund.
Right. You're making good money, but you still feel broke or anxious. You have these feelings. You're not sleeping. You're constantly thinking about it. It is consuming your thoughts.
Yeah. So listen, I just want to stop and pause for our listeners. And I just want Megan to just read them one by one with maybe make a 1 second pause between each one. And I want our listeners, I know this is weird for us as we're recording it. We want to just keep talking. At least I do. Maybe not you, Megan. But I want you to read it. And I want our listeners, I want you to be serious and reflective. Because right after this, we're going to talk about how you can address it. But I want one of the biggest ways to fix a problem is to admit that it is a problem and bring it out into the light. So read them off, Megan, one by one. Put a little pause between each one.
Okay, so the first one, counting down the days to payday. Carrying a balance on credit cards despite high income. No emergency fund. Making good money but still feeling broke or anxious.
Okay, did you marinate in that? Okay, check the boxes. Maybe it's all four, maybe it's one of them. But let's help you. Let's help some people, Megan. There's some things you can do to address this. And I will tell you, I'm going to share the first one because this one was the one that helped me. Because there was a day when all of those applied to me. And it is to track your spending and create a budget. Awareness, it really is the first step to freedom. And I just want to communicate to everybody who's taken the time, your valuable time to listen to this podcast. You're here because the topic got your attention. It means you're probably dealing with it. But I will tell you some of the feelings that came over me as we started to put together a budget. And I can remember it like it was yesterday, even though it was more than 2 decades ago, is a sense of control showed back up. It gave me the power back instead of feeling powerless. It gave me that feeling of tangible action that I was doing something that I really felt could make progress. And while it was hard to say no, it gave me the clarity to say, I have to say no. It's, I could almost blame my budget because we always want to blame something if we're having to tell ourselves unfavorable news. And I blamed my budget, but I knew that if I wanted to fund these dreams that I had written down, I was going to have to say no, and a budget helped me do that. So I think it's the most powerful tool. It's why we talk about it so much, of having a budget.
Yep. All right. The next one is cap your lifestyle. So don't let expenses rise with income. Make sure you're locking in your lifestyle. And we're not saying you can never buy a new car. You can never go on a vacation. You can never get new clothes or new shoes. It's not that, but it's living within the means of your budget. So if your budget says that you have $40 to spend this month on clothes, then you got to stay within the $40. It's not, oh, well, I got to raise this month, or I got a bonus. Bonuses could be different. Yeah. I got to raise this month so I can bump that up and, you got to give somewhere in order to make
I
progress.
I watch some of these terrible comedy shows just for mindless humor, and one of the ones that I love is Parks and Rec, and they have a
Mm-hmm.
phrase in there that they implemented called "treat yourself." They had treat yourself days, and the problem is too many people are treating yourself every day, and if
Mm-hmm.
you don't cap your lifestyle, then it becomes a treat yourself lifestyle every day, and that will bankrupt
Right.
you. Even $5 and $7 and $12 a day will break you up. And I just
Right.
wanted to kind of reference that you mentioned we're not saying you can't have fun. Just maintain your lifestyle. One of the things that stands out to me is I'm intrigued by a story about Jay Leno, the comedian, the leader of the Tonight Show. He says he continued to travel and do, I think, like 150, somebody can correct me. I think it's like 150 comedy appearances a year. And he always lived off that income. The money he made from Tonight Show, I believe it was that way. He never spent a dollar of it.
Oh,
He
wow.
chose to live on the one income. And you
Mm.
could maybe say, well, both of them were terrific incomes. But I think one of the things he was doing is saying, hey, I want to make sure I can do really great things with this. And I want to make sure that if something should happen, TV was very unpredictable, that
Mm-hmm.
that I would still be good. And one way to do that is not allow yourself to spend that additional income. So if you get a raise, hey, maybe for a couple of years, don't allow yourself to spend the raise. Instead, put that in savings. And so cap your lifestyle. What's another way?
Yeah, so speaking of savings, another one could be automate savings and investing. So you're almost treating this like a bill. It's non-negotiable. It has to be paid. You have to save, you have to invest, and then you're planning the
Yeah,
rest.
it's almost like
But
we've said that
know.
before.
It's almost like we have a few times.
Yeah, give,
Kind of like a
save,
saying we
invest,
have.
plan the rest. It rhymes if you say it right.
Yeah.
I'm not sure it's a haiku, but it's close.
Yeah.
But you got to view it
It's
as a
summer
bill
break.
or a debt. So let's ask the questions, Megan. How long ago in your life did you automate contributions to your retirement or investment accounts in your life? How long ago was it?
Yeah, when I got my first job, it was automated.
Why?
That's
Why
what
did that
you
happen? Why did you do that when you had friends who certainly were not doing that?
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of my friends still don't think, even though we're in our 30s, that saving for retirement is an important thing. I'm like, it's not the case. But I knew that retirement is going to happen, and there's compound interest. I'm going to make way more money on it if I put it in there now and I don't touch it. And especially at your first job, when you're not used to making that much money, and then all of a sudden you have this income, you go from a part-time job because you're in school, and then all of a sudden you're in a full-time job, and money just seems to be flying off trees, even though it's probably a super small salary. It just feels gargantuous because you haven't had that salary. And it's the first time that I really got to choose, no, I'm going to prioritize this. And, HR is like, do you want to invest? I'm like, yep. So just go ahead and take it out of my paycheck. I don't even want to see it. And then you don't get used to, oh, I have this money and I'm going to live this way. And then now you're having to make that change. That is a lot of people's story. But for me, at the very beginning was like, I want to prioritize this because I know retirement is coming and I got to do something about it.
That's great. So I heard a couple of things there. Number one, someone had taught you. Someone had taught you the time value of money early, consistently over time is a lot, but also HR asked. And I think that's great. And so I just really encourage you, if you want to break the cycle of making what you feel like is good money and feeling broke all the time, put saving and investing in your budget and automate it so that it is like any other bill you're paying and you're paying yourself. In fact, one person calls it pay yourself first. I've seen people call it that. But it's non-negotiable because you need to do what your future you will look back and say, I'm glad my current self back then did that. And I can tell you right now, I'm 51 and I just got back from a fishing trip. It's the middle of May. I was in northern Wisconsin, Megan. And like, we're summer. You mentioned it was summer, right? It's summer. It's summer.
It's hot.
Yeah. 2
Yeah, it's
days
hot.
ago, I had sleet hitting me, and the
That
daffodils were
sounds terrible.
barely emerging. And I'm like, you poor people. I know, I love that area. I love it, love it, love it. I don't know how they live 8 months with the chance of freezing weather, but they do.
Nope.
And I know how they do it. They have really good Gore-Tex outdoor wear, and they get snowmobiles, and they enjoy the outdoors a different way. But I will tell you right now, you know, I went up there, and I don't even know where I'm going with my story right now. But
You're talking about
yeah.
investing for your
Oh,
future, your
oh,
future
I
self.
was out there. I went fishing in it, and I was like, man, when I was in my 20s, I would have fished in this horrific weather. I would have went out. It would have happened. Who cares that it's sleeting? Let's go. Now it's like, you know what? I'm good. I'm gonna stay in the cabin. The cabin's good. And then I was with my uncle, who's 25, 30 years older than me, and he's really good with just sitting in the cabin. He's like, he's on day 3 and he still hasn't went in the boat because the weather is
That's
not
funny.
good enough. So, it's just one of those things when, hey, as you get older, your energy, your ability to cut out financial behavior is harder. It just gets harder. I wish it got easier. It gets harder. So why not make it your habit when you're young, like Megan did, like I did in our 20s, because we're really glad we did now. We look at our investment accounts, we look at our savings accounts and are glad. And that really is the fourth thing. We've talked about tracking your spending with a budget, capping your lifestyle, don't let expenses equal your income, automating saving and investing. And the fourth one is what?
Yep. So build financial margin. So freedom comes from space, not from more income. So you might meet somebody who makes half the amount of income that you make, but they're thriving because they're able to, they have a budget, they're investing for the future, they're saving, they're, all these things, they're already implementing all those things, but they make a lot less than you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, for the vast majority of people, and definitely for the people that we're talking to here, where you feel like you're making good income but still living paycheck to paycheck, the issue is not making more. Now, listen, we want you to make more. We do want you to earn more money, but we want you to be able to have in place the mechanisms of having a budget, changing behavior that you need to change, making sure that you've got margin in your life and you've automated saving and investing, so that when those raises do show up, when those promotions happen with more income, wow, does it really help you build margin? It really helps you fund dreams and takes away. I don't think you can always take away all financial anxiety, Megan. I don't know if that's
Yeah.
I don't think that's the goal. I think the real goal is that you can have it be manageable, that it is this tension that you carry, but it's at this low level, not this, we're going bankrupt, how are we going to make it next month?
Yeah.
The mention of job layoffs happening causes you to become apoplectic. I just came up with that word. I was dared to use that word today. Yeah.
Yeah, and I almost feel like your anxiety, if we'll use that word, can almost become about the next financial step. So maybe you're not as anxious or stressed about the budget, but now you're looking at investing, and that's kind of like, ooh, we're going to invest, or you're buying your first rental property, or there's different steps like that where you're continuing to move up, and you still have that there, but it's not the same level.
Yeah. That's the truth. So our takeaway that we want you to walk away with is it's not how much you make, it's about how you manage it. And our challenge is to create a budget that reflects reality, that forces some behavioral change, but yet is realistic, and do that for the next 3 months. And I will tell you, one great way for you to be able to take a next step is to really vocalize it. And we want you to share your aha moment or your story of how you flipped this script, if you have successfully done it, or if this hits home and you're looking to really get your finances in order, we encourage you to check out Fully Funded Life. And so Fully Funded Life is our membership community where you get access to all of our tools. You get access to tons of training, everything from basic budgeting to more complex investing strategies. check it out at fullyfunded.life. Megan, we did it. Episode 330 is in the books. And I think it worked out. So from North Carolina, from South Carolina, hey, we're here to help you live your life fully funded. Have a great week, everybody.
Thanks for watching. Hey, if you've gotten value from this, and I believe you have, click that subscribe button, click that thumbs up, leave a comment, and share it with somebody. We want to make sure that this community grows so that we can all, together, live fully funded lives. Thanks for being a part of our family.